Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we've got lined up for you today. Sally Lindsay will be here. Yay. Looking forward to that. She's coming back. She's telling us all about a new series this time, Madame Blanc Mysteries, as well as tucking into a dish of sea bass, as well as the classic beef stew and dumplings. And I'll be tasting a drop or two of Spain's most famous wines on a food adventure around the region of La Rioja. And don't miss this week's Little Masterclass. We'll be giving you an essential lesson into cooking and serving game. Now, that's not all, because, as always, we're here by some amazing chefs. This week is top of the tree, to be honest with you. We'll be sharing their trademark dishes with us a little bit later. It's good friends of the show, Tony Singh and Michael Keynes.
Hi.
Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back.
Who's going to go first? Tony, you're going to go first, because
Yes.
Burns Night. Now, tell me about these. These have become famous.
Well, haggis pakora, like anything deep fried and golden is delicious. But add haggis to it, phenomenal. And it's the traditional things you'd have with haggis. There's neeps, there's tatties, there's the haggis, but we've added a bit of a spice. We've made them crunchy. We've got amazing sauces with them.
Okay.
They're fantastic for canopies and snacks. They're just awesome.
Because you saw one of these haggis are a little bit. It's a bit like we're cooking game a little bit later.
Yeah.
People go, I'm not
Well,
too
this
sure
is
what to
the
do
thing,
with it.
and it's all the goodness, and nothing's wasted on the animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've got the pluck, you've got the lungs, you've got
to try it, don't you? That's
you have
the key
to try it, and I think it sounds like a horror story for sheep. If you're a sheep, yeah, you wouldn't want to be made any haggis, but nothing's wasted.
Yeah.
And it's getting over that fact of, but they taste amazing. It tastes that good. Burns wrote a poem about it.
Yeah,
What more do
exactly.
you want?
So, not on the menu for you, haggis, but what are you going to be cooking?
No, we're just going to be doing a curried monkfish, which
Right.
is going to be pan roasted in some lovely foaming, sort of noisette butter, and that's going to be with some mussels and a lovely saffron sauce. So very, very simple but delicious.
Now, he's got his own sauces out as well. I remember years ago you planted this vineyard at your place.
Yes, we did.
Now you got the fruits of it. It's just starting to come through, is it now? It takes years, doesn't it?
It does. Well, 2020 was our first vintage, and soon to come a Chardonnay and
To
a few other
match with the
things.
amazing food that you're serving
Yeah,
at the
no,
hotel.
it's good.
There you go. Well, we're going to be cooking a little bit later with these two guys, and I thought I'd kick things off today by making a little chicken picado, which I'm making. So we use this amazing chicken that I'm going to introduce you to a supplier a little bit later on. But the dish of itself, it's kind of like a pot roast thing. It's, the winter time, you don't want pans everywhere, nice and simple sort of stuff. So we're going to take our influence from Spain for this one, and you can take the potatoes. You don't have to peel them, but the idea is you just chop these all up and use this as a base. Now, this is not going to thicken the stew. The picada is really the mixture of bread and a little bit of almonds and that kind of stuff is as well. But you're going to take your nice little bit of potatoes, stick that in the bottom. The peppers, because this is the essential part of Spanish cooking. I don't know whether you guys have travelled a lot to Spain, but you cannot cook without, I've learned, peppers, garlic and olive oil.
Olive oil.
But peppers particularly, an onion, of course, but we take the peppers, no need to sort of de-seed them. This is proper rustic cooking. That's going to go in there as well. With the garlic, take a good few cloves of garlic, give it a whack. They're going to go in as well. A whole lot gets put in. And then we're going to talk about this chicken. Now, as we all know, the quality of the ingredients are key to any cooking. This is a prime example of that. But what I want to do, before I introduce you to the supplier, is just show you just quickly how to prepare it. We've just got a beautiful chicken over here. I'm going to spatchcock it. We're going to talk about game a little bit later on in the show and do a similar sort of thing with that, using a lot smaller, a little quail and partridge and that kind of stuff. But to spatchcock it speeds up the cooking time, but essentially it's just a fantastic way to cook stuff, whether you eat a pot roast, which I'm going to do, or on the barbecue. Turn the chicken over like that, and then either side over here, take a pair of scissors and cut through. So take a little marker all the way through like that. I'm sure you guys spatchcock loads and loads of things as well, particularly game as well when it's in season, but we cut all the way through like that. But this is brilliant with Indian spices over the top, isn't it?
Well, this is it. You're opening up more surface area. You're getting the spices right in there.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
So like you were saying, Tony was saying, you just open up the surface area like that, press it down, flatten it down, and you've got your nice little bit of chicken. We're going to take that, pop it onto there. Let me wash my hands. And then grab some salt and pepper, and really just the simple flavours come in the form of what we've got over here. I'm going to take some bay leaf. They're going to sit in there as well. I've got some vermouth or nori prat. That's going to go in there as well, which I love with chicken as well. I mean, if you love some French cooking, this is another.
Vermouth,
It's interesting how the French and the Spanish and everything morphs together around Europe in terms of recipes. We've got some stock over here, some little bit of chicken stock. That's going to go in. Now, I don't put cream in it yet. I'm just going to leave it as it is. And then what you want to do is roast this in the oven. So set the oven, 200 degrees. This is going to go for about 50 minutes. After 50 minutes, I'll take some Padron peppers, which I wouldn't put on there earlier, sprinkle it over, give it another 10 minutes, and that's about when my chicken is about ready. So you're looking at traditionally roasting a chicken probably an hour and 20 minutes, this size. Yeah. When you're spatchcocking it like this, it knocks a good sort of 20 minutes off the time, but we can take our chicken out of here and lift that off to one side and leave that over there. Meanwhile, I'm going to pop that into here because I'm going to introduce you now to where this chicken comes from. We're going to find out more about this, of course. So we're going to head up to East Yorkshire to speak to Ben Lee from Soane's Poultry. I think you're there, Ben. I can see you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Nice to speak to you as well. Now, supplier-wise, we get many on the show, as you know. Every week we get different suppliers. Not many chicken suppliers, but there aren't many chicken suppliers that produce chicken like you. So tell us a bit about the history of the place, because you're fourth generation, aren't you?
Yes, so the Soane's family are in their fourth generation, been farming on the Yorkshire Wolds for 75 years plus. We have three areas of the business. We have arable farming, which rears or grows the wheat for the chicken feed. We have the poultry rearing side of the business. And then Soane's Poultry ourselves, we are the processor and distributor. So we're a fully integrated family farming enterprise.
Now, you see it all the way through as well, don't you? So start off, first of all, before we even get to the chicken, let's talk about the actual feed, first of all, the wheat. You're producing the wheat mainly for the chickens. Is that where it all originated for, or you were selling that? What came first, the wheat or the chicken?
The wheat always comes first.
Yeah.
We grow the wheat on our Yorkshire farm. That all goes into a local feed mill, which is then placed into the feed rations for the birds. And then that's obviously transferred to farm, and we rear our bears from day-old chicks through to full processing weight.
What type of birds are they? Because people think of chicken. You see it in the supermarket. You see it in the butcher. The chicken is chicken. What breed is yours? If any of you is watching this thinking, I want to produce a few of them for home and bits and pieces, what breed are you looking for? Because the flavour, I've got to say, I tasted these last night. They're amazing. But with the guy I'm going to introduce you in a minute with it. But what type are these?
So we have two breeds that we use. We use a Ross 308 breed, which is a conventional red tractor-based bird. And then we have our free-range birds, which are a Hubbard breed, which is a slower-growing breed for a more mature bird.
And tell me about the farm itself. You had one central farm, and now you've got sporadic farms all around, but not too far away. They're only sort of, less than 20, 25 miles away from the main place?
Yeah, so we're based here at Churchill Farm, which was the original farm. We now have 6 farms and 2 contract growers for ourselves. Most of our farms are within 15 miles of the processing site here in the rural village. And the furthest is 22 miles on rural roads. And
has that always been the case with you? Because I know that, there's several things that are important to you. Sustainability is one thing, seeing the whole process all the way through. But I'm presuming particularly for the local economy, everything else, that staff, it's all, because you've got quite a few people who work on it. Give us an idea, because these boys they're thinking they've got a lot of staff with restaurants and hotels. How many people have you got working for you now in amongst all this?
So we've got just over 120 staff. That's comprising of farm managers through to processing operatives, delivery drivers. We have our own livery, so we deliver everything on our own vehicles where possible. It's just trying to be, recruiting from the local pool. We are a rural producer, so we are based in a small village just outside of Beverley and Driffield, market towns.
You've got to sell Beverley and Driffield now, because these guys...
I've not heard of Beverley, but I want to go and see her.
Near Hull. Pronounced without a H. Not Hull. Hull.
City of culture, though. That's all right.
Exactly. That's the one.
I've heard of Hull.
But, quality, we think about your cooking with fish as well, monkfish and stuff like that. I don't think chicken is just, people just go, it's just chicken. But there's a massive, massive difference, as you guys know.
But again, it's ingredients. And Ben, what sounds like is just this is top of the tree. And you were saying free range, the secondary breed you were talking about. What makes the difference between free range and red tractor?
So we rear three different levels of chicken. We've got a grain-fed Yorkshire award-winning bird, which is our standard red tractor bird. We have a free-range bird, which predominantly have at least half of their lifespan is reared outdoors or have access to outdoors. And then we have a higher welfare brand as well, which is reared at lower stocking density. So that's at least 20% more space. And that's something that we've recently, over the last few years, trying to introduce to the marketplace and try and get, build that market of a higher welfare product.
I often say to people about how the people go, well, how can you tell the difference between the chicken and the chicken? Because you get it like that. First of all, you got to look at it, but I think the key to it is when you cook it.
Yeah.
If you just traditionally roast a chicken off, and it's got so often it's got a lot of water and bits and pieces in the bottom. Yours doesn't do that. Is that because they put? No, I don't say. Is that because they put stuff in it?
I think a lot of it comes down to how it's processed. We have obviously a lot of staff. So whilst we have mechanical aspects of the business, we still are very much hand finished. We air chill, so there's no water added in the chilling process. It's completely just done by cold air over about a 3 to 4 hour period. And then I think it comes down to the inputs of the bird, using homegrown wheat within the ration, the husbandry that goes into looking after the birds, and then from being local and being, all around, 5-6 miles, transportation and stress is a big factor on poultry eating quality or meat eating quality generally.
Well, hopefully the taste is different as well for these lot, because I'm about to finish this off. So this is your little bit of, this is the stewy bit. So I've got in here the potatoes, the peppers. Now, if you look at this, it looks as if the mixture split a little bit. But what you do is you take this piccata, this is this combination of garlic, and we've got the breadcrumbs, and then what you do is you take the almonds as well. So over here, I just want to show you this. That's the breadcrumbs, the garlic. You take the almonds, these go in here as well, and we blend it all up. And you use this as a thickener for your stew. So that sits in here, and we just blend this all up. And this then thickens. This is brilliant for soups and stuff like that. And it's one of the great things I got from the Spanish trip as well, which you're going to see on the show as well a little bit later. But you take this mixture and you just pop that in here, and it thickens up the stew. Use it a lot in soups and stuff like that, but you put it in the last minute, you get this amazing sort of fresh taste. Switch that off, let it all sort of thicken up. But this is the fruits of all your labour as well, this amazing chicken over here. So, but you can see that. I mean, that looks amazing just as it is, like that. And then I'm going to grab a couple of plates for these gents, and I'll use where's my little carving fork? There we go. Do you want thigh and leg, or you're just happy with
whatever
what I give you?
Up. Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
I'll have a bit of breath.
There you go. So take a little bit of that. Take a little bit. There we go.
It's here.
Looks all right.
It's fantastic, doesn't it?
Bit of that.
Skin.
Yeah, the skin is amazing.
Yeah.
You always tell, that moisture, if it's too much, you never really get a
crispy
good
skin.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It looks, but the difference is it's got a bit of colour. And you see some of the chickens that are just pale. And that's got a bit of colour.
I think that's exactly right as well. But
Nice bit of fat content in the skin as well. This is nice. Nice.
right, I'm just going to have a quick little taste of this, because these are... Will tell me off if I don't season it properly. Ben, there we go. That's going to go in there. And then we take the potatoes, the peppers, everything else, and you just sit that with it. I love this type of cooking. It's just... But you pop this lovely sauce, and you can see how it's thickened up nicely. Take that with it. And that with it. So hopefully I've done your chicken justice. The guys are about to taste it in a minute. But I wish you all the best of luck with it. And is there a fifth generation in the wings? I'm assuming there is.
The fifth generation ain't yet. I think they're in nursery now, so they'll be on the way through.
Exactly. Well, good luck with everything. And next time I'm passing, I'll come in and see you.
Fantastic, James.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, Ben.
There we have it. My roast chicken with piccata and a nice little bit of potatoes with green peppers. Easy as that. Right, gentlemen, dive into that.
Fantastic.
Dive
Great.
into that.
Thank you.
That you can tell how much there's less water coming out of this, but when you taste it,
Oh, wow, that sauce is great too.
sauce is lovely, isn't it? It's just it thickens up. Just that little amount of bread and almonds.
But when you catch a bit of almond, oh, it's lovely.
It's a lovely texture, that chicken. You know, it's proper texture. You know, it's
Well,
really...
it tastes of chicken. It's difficult to describe. Well, it's easy to describe. It tastes like chicken,
It does, like proper chicken there.
Proper chicken.
like a corn-fed chicken, but
But the
really,
texture.
really, yeah,
I
beautiful.
love the
isn't it?
texture.
Yeah, texture's great.
And the size of it as well. I mean, that feed 8-10 people. It's massive. It's like
Yeah,
the size of a
it's
turkey.
huge.
But there you go.
Sandwiches for the week for the leftovers.
Exactly. Now I'll be treating Sally Lindsay to a dish of sea bass. That's coming up shortly. Don't miss this week's Little Marstas as well. That's coming up on Game. That's coming up a little bit later. But join us again after the break when Tony and Michael will be trying to solve some of your kitchen dilemmas. I'll see you in a bit. It's lovely, that, isn't it? Welcome back. Now I'll be cooking a first course of sea bass for Sally Lindsay very shortly, and I'll be teaching you how to cook game in this week's masterclass a little bit later on. But before that, I'm outside with Tony Singh and Michael Keynes. It is cold out here.
A bit nippy.
It is,
Baltic.
even for a Scotsman, it's cold out here.
I've even got my jacket on as well.
It's cold out here. Right, now they're both cooking for us a little bit later, but I thought I'd take a look at some of the dishes you've been making at home. Now, we may be into January, but we've still got loads of photographs of dishes that you cooked over Christmas as well. So first up, a big well done goes to Deb Harrop, who was inspired to make my masterclass, to make her own version of a rum-glazed ham. Look at that. Pretty good.
Yeah.
But it looks tasty as well. Next up, a video goes from Susie, who wants to show flambéed whiskey parsnips she made for a guest. There we go. Clearly I did out of sherry, but she ran out and used whiskey instead, but still pretty good there. Roy Ainley must have seen me arguing with Hannah Waddington about air fryers on Christmas Day because he sent us this photograph of Yorkshire puddings made in his air fryer. Now, what do you think of air fryers?
I think they have their use.
You have to be careful because the wife wants one.
Right.
Personally, no. But if the boss wants it, yes, it's fantastic.
Exactly. Have you cooked in one? No,
I
Not
haven't
my
used it.
thing.
Not
They have
my,
their
yeah,
place.
exactly. Yeah, I think they have a place, exactly. But there you go. Not in either of our kitchens. And finally, top marks this week goes to Joe White, who recreated a cauliflower dish that I made on the show over New Year. How good does that look? Cauliflower steak,
Hey.
I love it.
Pomegranate on
delicious.
top.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful. Pomegranate, sort of Indian spices
Chickpea
as
on
well.
it. Chickpeas,
Yeah,
oh,
chickpeas with it as
lovely.
well. There we go. Right, as well as the photographs, you've been sending loads of questions about food and cooking. So I thought we'd have a go at answering them right now. So think of this like gardener's question time, rapid, but with
Okay.
food. Is that all right?
It will be quick.
Exactly. So I'm going to put my glasses on for this one as well.
we say
really,
pass?
'cause-
Pass.
Yes,
Pass.
because I'm old and I need my glasses. So this is quite an interesting question, really, and one that we've never had on the show before. This is from Alex. What do all the different chefs in a restaurant kitchen actually do? How is a sous chef different to a chef de partie or a commis chef?
It's easy. Well, it's a hierarchy system. So sous in French is under, and chef is under chef. So you're basically sous chef is the under chef of the head chef.
Yeah.
And then we have a hierarchical system. So if you're chef de partie, a party is a section. So your veg section, meat section, fish section. and then-
Usually 4.
Yeah.
In a smaller kitchen, there's 3
Yeah.
chef de parties. A bigger one, you have probably 8, 10 chef
Yep.
de parties. In a hotel, big
More.
London hotel,
Yeah.
you probably have 20 chef de parties,
right.
wouldn't you?
And then under each you have a commis. So commis would then work for chef de partie. Chef de partie is answerable to the sous chef, and the sous chef to the head chef. So it's very hierarchical, and it's a way that we keep things organised and also
the
dissipate the work.
standards, yeah.
Yes.
And it's also, each chef de partie is then trained to run a section for when somebody's ill or somebody's not around.
Oh, you've
they
got
can just...
chef tune on it, goes round
Yeah.
to do everything. But this was instituted by Escoffier.
That's right.
Yeah, that whole
Based
thing
on the
of
military system.
French, yeah, no, definitely. Because
Now you know,
everything
it's an
has its
interesting
place.
question, I think.
Yeah.
This is another question as well that's great. Alison Davis, I've seen you cooking with Samphire on the show. I'm intrigued what to do with it, where to get it, and how to cook it. Well, simply, you can get it from the supermarket nowadays. I've seen it in the fish sections. What would you do with it? What would you do with Samphire? Simply
Well,
cook it with butter?
Yeah, I like to quickly blanch it and then sweat it down with some butter. We do use it, like we mix in a puree of basil and courgette, and that's actually quite nice, and do it something as a sort of base for certain dishes. But it's a lovely texture, and it's got a lovely saltiness to it. But you have to make sure you don't get
You're
the
not a
branches.
great fan, have you, clearly?
I give it to my neighbours because I just don't like it. No, I mean, you either love it or hate it. It's got
Yeah.
that salty burst, great texture. For me, not for me, really.
I really like it as well. Jenny has been attempting to make her own sausage rolls. We've done it on a masterclass on here. They keep going soggy at the bottom. The key to that, really, if they keep going like that, is two things, really. You want to heat the tray up beforehand, so get the tray nice and hot and take the sausage rolls and put them on there and put it straight in the oven. That will start the cooking process. But mostly that's due to probably the pork that you're making them with. So get a much leaner cut of pork, because there's probably too much fat coming out of it, which makes the pastry go soggy. But also don't make it too thick, the pastry as well. That's the key to it. So we've got another one. There we go. I'm thinking about buying a sous vide machine, not an air fryer, this one. This is from Julian in Cardiff. Are they hard to cook with? What can I do in them? Are they difficult?
Why would you, for a home cook, why would you want it? You know what I mean? You want to cook in a pan. You want to hear, you want to smell.
The problem is with sous vide, don't you think? If you get it wrong, you're into a world of A&E.
Yeah, well,
do you think?
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Because the temperature, the key to cooking sous vide is critical temperatures.
Yes.
And if you don't understand the temperatures, then it can be quite difficult.
Exactly. And, you know, if you're cooking something low and slow, you know, you've got to drop it in at 80 for a couple of minutes and then drop it down to the temperature. But you need to know what you're doing. And there's a lot of chefs that use it for obvious reasons. Yeah. And we do too. But actually, for a home cook, is it really necessary?
I would say something like, I cooked it on a pressure cooker the other day. I think a pressure cooker
cookers are great.
Or even a slow cooker.
Or slow cooker, or you can cook at a lower temperature and stock and fat, confit, you can slow braise. There's different ways that we were doing it before. There was plastic.
So here's one for you. Helen has just...
Get rid of the plastic.
Yeah, exactly. Helen's just messaged saying, have you got some tips using lentils for stews and soups? Do I add them just as they are? Do I then wash them? What do I do?
Definitely wash them, because you don't want that earthiness. You don't want to ruin the flavours of everything else. Wash them, soak them if you can. Speeds up the cooking time as well if you want to keep your veggies al dente or not overcook your meat or anything like that. But yeah, wash them, soak them beforehand, and then but it's another great thing to add to your repertoire for thickening stews.
Well, I've got two more here. One from Mark. It might be a stupid question, but why are some cuts of meat of beef 3 to 4 times more expensive than other cuts? After all, they all come from the same animal.
Well, carcass balance is important, but the reality is that the prime cuts are the ones that are easier to tender to eat, and they'll be obviously the ones that like fillet, the steaks that are sirloin.
They're usually what we call the centre cuts, aren't they? They're the cuts. It's part of the animal that does the least amount of work.
Exactly, which is why it's so tender.
Yeah.
And the problem is people's obsession with that tenderness is driving up the price, because there's not much on the carcass. There's only 2 fillet of beef.
Well, this is it.
And you only get 8 portions, maybe 10 portions from a fillet. So you've only got 20 portions per animal. And then you've got the mass of the carcass. So I think the answer, if you want cheap meat from a carcass, you need to have all of that usage. So that means doing things like stews, like we're talking about.
Slow cookers. I'm doing beef stew and dumplings later as well. That's one of the... using up the pieces of meat like that are just fantastic. Yeah. That's what I would do. But usually it's from that sort of prime cut area. And that's not the same with beef. It's the same with lamb. It's the same with pork. It's the same with all of that sort of stuff. You need to utilise a lot more of the other cuts as well. There we go. One final question. I was watching Claire Smith. This is from Polly. Cook on the programme over Christmas and wants to know why some chefs get rid of the roe on scallops. You see, I have this argument with my chefs all the time. I like the roe on it. They want to take it off. They mess around with it, dehydrate it, dry it out. I like it with the roe in. Pan-fried. That's my personal preference. But it's one of those sort of Marmite things, isn't it?
It is a Marmite thing, yeah.
What you like it? I presume you take it off?
We take it off and serve the scallop, but we do use the roe. We do we blanch it, and then we dry it, and sometimes we slice it and fry it. But we tend to serve it as a part of the dish rather than with the scallop. Okay. But unless we're cooking the scallop in shell.
Not exactly the same as Michael Woodcock. We cook the scallop by itself, the roe separately, because we've got different cooking times as well.
True.
And it's a stronger flavour.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the chicken as well. People have got away from what some good ingredients taste like together. And I think together it is good, but we take it away.
Polly, it's like working in a restaurant and been outvoted again, 2-1, you see. There you go. There you go. All right. It's good, that. It's good, that. We've got lots of questions done. If there's anything you'd like to learn about food and cooking, then do get in touch. We'll try to answer them right here on the show. Now, do keep sending your pictures and videos coming in. We love also to see what you've been inspired to cook at home. Right, these two will be cooking for us a little bit later, and I'll be giving you a crash course in game in this week's Little Masterclass, but I'll see you back here in a few minutes, where I'll be joined in the house by Madame Blanc star Sally Lindsay. I'll see you in a minute. Now you can get warmed up.
Great.
Let's go.
Freezing out here. back. I'll be giving you a beginner's guide to cooking game in this week's little masterclass. And Mr. Tony Singh, that brilliant chef, will be treating us to his famous haggis pakoras a little bit later. But first, I'm here with an actor who's gone from The Rover's Return to starring in some of TV's best-loved comedies before achieving global success as a crime-solving antiques dealer. It's the brilliant Sally Lindsay! Welcome back.
Oh, I love it here.
Ching. You love it here, don't you? Now, first of all...
that's nice.
Congratulations. Series 3.
Series 3, yes. Chin.
And it's gone... I have said it's gone around the world.
It's gone around the world, yeah. So we have sort of... it comes on Channel 5 in this country, and then around the world it goes on Acorn TV. So we're very lucky, really. It gets 2 bites of the cherry. So it's done really well here this season. And, people seem to really like
it,
we're
going to talk about it, because I know you love your food as well. You love sort of a mixture of Asian food. We've got Asian food and we've got beef stew and dumplings on the menu today.
That's literally my heaven.
Well, we're going to start off with this one first of all. So I'm going to take a little bit of veg. We're going to cook this en papillote. So we're going to take the spring onion, a little bit of bok choy like that. We've got some nice little bit of bean sprouts. And then I'm going to use some lemongrass and really simply cook this with some ginger. Nice and easy. Nice and simple, and then it's all about the pesto that's going to go with it. This is a little bit of lemongrass in there as well.
So en papillote is paper?
In a bag. But it's very, very simple. You just make it a little greaseproof bag, and you just cook it in the oven. It takes, for a sea bass like this, it's going to take about 8 minutes.
8 minutes?
8 minutes, hot tray, yeah. So I'll just show you. You can make it like nice and simple. So we take our lovely bit of sea bass.
Gorgeous.
You can do this either singular like that or double it. If you're going to double it, which I am, we're going to take a little bit of ginger. I actually like the leaves, the skins on the ginger, because ginger's an amazing thing. If you warm this up, obviously like ginger tea, keep the skins on it, you get this amazing heat from it. It's not chilly, it's not spicy, but you get this amazing
lovely
heat
flavour.
from it. Yeah, so you take a little bit of the bean sprouts like that. We've got a touch of that, a little bit of garlic as well.
Gorge.
Touch of garlic, that goes in there. And then I'm going to layer this all up and then wrap it all up. We just take a nice little bit of veg with a lime.
It looks so fresh.
That's the key to it, really, is the freshness of it. A little bit of lime, we'll put fresh lime in it as well. And then the spiciness comes in the form of the chilli, which we're going to do with this little pesto that goes with it. But a touch of soy.
Gorge.
Bit of that.
Oh, look at that.
Over there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then you kind of sandwich this with the other little bit of sea bass. That's going to go on there. No need for salt and pepper in this. If you've got soy, you don't need to put salt and pepper in it.
Oh, it's salty, I suppose.
Just leave it as. And then when you get to that stage, then we can just take this, fold it over, and then a bit like a Cornish pasty, you crimp it. So you crimp the paper as you're doing this.
Right.
All the way around. Like that. Fold it over. So it seals it all up.
8 minutes.
And then the best advice with this is when you do it, take a hot tray, put it in the oven, and this will start cooking the base first. You just take... That goes straight in there. 8 minutes, it'll puff up and it's done.
Just like that?
Now, we're talking about this show of yours. Those people who haven't seen it, Series 3, tell us about it, because the whole thing is based on a antiques dealer. You're a big fan of antiques. You wrote this idea. You had it in your head. With Series 3, it's you love it, don't you? You co-write it.
I co-write it. I co-produce it. Yeah, and the lead in it.
It's quite nice having a show.
The bottles.
Well, it's nice doing a thing like that because you go, do you know, where am I going to go this year? I'm going to go to south of France. You don't actually shoot it in the south of France.
We don't, and, you know, I know you've got a lot of dealings in the south of France, and it is a beautiful place, but when we wanted to... It's based in the south of France, that's exactly where it is visually.
Yeah.
But what happened, it was the dark days of COVID, and France was shut, and there was a beautiful... island called Gozo, which people were sort of... Around the film industry, people were rumoured that loads of things that were supposed to be filmed in the south of France were filmed in Gozo. Right. So I wasn't having it. And I went along and they took me there. And it's tiny, it's as big as Stockport. I mean, it's tiny, Gozo.
Right.
And you get on the ferry, and as I went into the port, it just looked like south of France in the 50s. And I nearly cried. I was like, yes, we can film it. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's turned into our second home now. We've just finished our third series there. So it's turned into a bit of just a really lovely surprise.
Well, it's a surprise because the start of it was a surprise for you, wasn't it, really? Because you had this idea.
Yeah.
You gave it to Channel 5 and they went, yeah, we'll do it. And you thought, I haven't even written it.
I've not written it. What are you on about? It was just an idea. Yeah, I was doing a show called Still Open All Hours, and I was in Pine.
Just a show called Still Open All Hours, yeah, just that one.
And I was just loads of time off because it was a sitcom, so you do your bit and then me and Vegas would go and do our bit and come out. And so I had loads of time, so I started writing this idea about this antiques dealer that I'd actually met, this lady called Jan. I'd met her on holiday years ago, and she's this amazing antiques dealer. I think she's a pundit on telly shows now.
Right.
And she was just so normal and so brilliant, but so bright, and this observational, like Sherlockian observation of antiques. And I remember thinking, that's a great character. Where do I set it? And then she said, all loads of markets, antique markets in the south of France. I thought, well, that's a nice place to be. And then the idea came that basically Jean, the whole series started in series 1, where Jean has an antique shop in Cheshire. And what happens is her husband does all the shopping and goes over to France and comes back with all the goods.
Right.
And unfortunately, he dies in a car crash on the way home. And then she finds out that he's been living a double life with another lady, and a very, very expensive ring has gone missing. Therein lies where she ends up in Saint Victoire, which is where it all happens. And she's still there. Now she's assistant to the police on anything to do with antiques or antiquities. With the police chief, Caron, and also she's best mates with Dom, who's played by the brilliant Steve Edge, who I met at Phoenix Nights.
Well, I was going to say that because
ago.
I was watching it. I recognise that face. It's got a face that you always remember.
He's brilliant. He's a genius, you know, and he's always the funniest bloke in the room, you know, Steve. And I've known him for years. And when it came to the part, you know, I thought, I know, he'll be good at this.
But was Phoenix Nights one of those things? We're going to go back to Phoenix Nights, and you did so many things. The Royal Family, and I mean, so many different things. You managed to just get amazing scripts, but also amazing. The key to that is the amazing writers, I'm assuming, because you've got you. Yeah. Are you allowed to do your own things?
I think
do you allow that when you're writing your own stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, I create. How we do it, me and Sue, is I create sort of the plots and the history and the story of the mystery, and then Sue goes away and writes loads of brilliant dialogue to it. And what we do is we come together and we hone it. But all the time, Sue is like watching. You know, we watch things like Bargain Hunt, and I know it sounds crazy, or you know, or
well, I've heard that you've got one of your characters from a certain Me and Simon Rimmer. Was that right? Where did you get this from?
Right. So do you remember last time I was on?
Yes.
And you gave me that lovely book, and there's a lovely picture of you in front of a chateau, and you're leaning against a sports car.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. 2CV.
So they gave me this lovely 2CV. Yeah. So they gave me this lovely book on the way back. That was very nice. Thank you very much. I was in the car on the way back, and I thought, I've never done a chef. I've never written about a chef. Right. And by the end of the journey, I rang Sue up and I said, I've got this idea for a chef, but it basically is his downfall because he's not all he seems. So we know you're one of the best chefs in the world, and so's Rimmer, but he's not. It turns out he's lost his magic, and that's what the story is.
Shall we watch a little bit? Not of that, but you in action, writing and everything else. Let's take a look at this. Take a look at this.
Judith's keeping charge in the morning room.
Now, why was Martin pointing at this painting? It's called Queen Marie Antoinette of France and her 2 children walking in the park at Trianon.
Wow, snappy title.
Also known as the Doomed Queen.
That's catchy.
It's by Adolf Ehrlich Wertmuller, a very famous Rococo artist.
Is it rough much?
I hope this is a copy. I just wondered why he was pointing at it.
Let me do some notes and then bring those dreadful actors in first.
Please tell me you don't go all the way there and use fake rain.
Yeah. we sort of had to, unfortunately, because we filmed that in June.
Right.
In June, yeah, we had a wet down there, they call it. Yeah, and it was hysterical because Maltese houses are not really meant for rain. So every take, there was this sort of flood. And the poor props guys had to run in and just sort of clean it all out. Oh, it was. But that's a Christmas special. That's available now.
There you go. So, we're going to talk a little bit more later because I want to show you. Look, we got our little sea bass.
Oh my! If you could smell this.
Look at that, and you can take these. I mean, they're so simple. to cook, but you
Oh, if
just
you could smell that.
take that and then you take a knife,
That is amazing.
you split it down the middle, and then we just open it up.
Gorgeous.
Then you've got
Wow.
your nice little bit of sea bass on papillote. You take your lovely little
Oh, so you leave it in the paper to serve?
Yeah, you just put
Oh,
it on
that's
there.
cool. It's like a really posh fish and chips.
Yeah, kind of thing, yeah, exactly. If you want to say it like that, yeah. I wasn't going to do it like that, but you can
I'm a
do it
little
like
bit
that.
common, you know.
No, it's fine. Look, you just take this, and when you cook it on papillote, it takes no more than, that's 5 minutes, something like
That's
that?
amazing.
In there. Cooks it really, really nice. You open it up. You've got
And
all
that's
this...
the actual one, not the one you did earlier, isn't
No,
it?
no,
That's
no.
the actual one.
You've got the liquor in there, and these noodles are nice and warm. This is this nice little bit of sort of the spiciness with everything else.
I love the
Just a
colour
touch
as
of that.
well.
Yeah, and then what you want to do, just at the last minute, as well, we take some fresh lime zest, just go over the top, just to freshen it all up. But there we have it, Sally. Totally different to the next dish you're going to have, which is beef stew and dumplings.
I love it.
But there we have my sea bass on papillote with
Just
a
like
nice
that.
little warm noodle salad.
That is
Easy as that.
stunning.
Done.
Well done.
There you go. There we have it. Our first dish, Sally, for you. There you have it.
Oh my
The great thing about that, you've got all the juices in the paper as well, so you can
Oh,
eat the...
look
There's
at
no bones in the fish.
flavours here.
But
This
it's-
is crackers.
Just to show, it's so simple. It cooks so easy. Look at that.
Oh. That's a bit much.
It's fresh, and the lime at the last minute is just... But
It
those
is
are the three
amazing.
magical ingredients. Tiny, tiny bit of sesame. Use that as like a salt and pepper. That's your salt, that's your pepper with the soy, and then this fish sauce for add a really bulk of flavour. But if you're going to add oil, then use a little bit of veg oil with it as well.
This is unbelievable. It's
Yeah, isn't
absolutely
it?
unbelievable.
Good start.
I'm going to have a go at this when I get home.
Well, hopefully
it'll
you bring
be
it
up-
home as well. But there you
It'll
go.
absolutely be rubbish, but
No, it'll be fine. Great. You can do this with salmon. You can do it with cod. You can do it with any fish. Prawns as well. You can do it with like that. But
And with that-
only 8 minutes in the oven, done. There we have it. Right, I'll be treating Sally to a beef stew and dumplings a little bit later on this morning. And there's a masterclass in the art of cooking game that's coming up very shortly. But see you after the break when I'll be taking a foodie road trip to Spain's most famous wine region. See you in a bit.
that is just fit.
Welcome back. Now we're serving up a warming beef stew for all my guests, including Sally Lindsay, a little bit later on this morning. Much needed as well. It's still cold out here. And I'll be enjoying a dish of monkfish from my good friend of the show, Michael Keynes, in just a few minutes. But before that, it's time to take a look back at one of my favourite ever culinary adventures. And this week, my journey around Spain takes me to La Rioja, where I'm tasting and cooking with some of the region's most famous wines. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Enjoy this one. La Rioja is situated a little south of the Basque Country, where my journey began. It's another proudly autonomous community in northern Spain that's rich with agriculture and, of course, world famous for producing wine. I couldn't come here without visiting a winery, and this one comes highly recommended. It's called Conde de los Andes. And I'm meeting Eduardo to tour their wine cellar.
Wow. Now you're gonna be impressed, eh? It's different.
Well, this is impressive.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on. And how many tunnels have you got here in the whole vineyard?
The whole Conde de los Andes is more than a mile.
A mile of tunnels.
More than a mile, yeah.
How long's the place been here?
The oldest cellars, they are older than 15th century.
Have you figured out how many bottles you've got in these cellars?
At the moment, we almost reach 500,000 bottles.
500,000 bottles.
Yes.
When you think of Rioja, you think instantly red, but is it?
That's a very good question because here we have a good collection, a good amount of bottles of Rioja White and Rioja Semi-Sweet. One of the secrets of Rioja is what we have underground and the white wine as well.
Yeah.
That is a thing that not many people
Sweet
knows.
wine?
Sweet white and dry white as well.
Okay.
We're gonna try
We're going to try
a wine later, I believe.
You believe?
Now, let me show you our treasure. This is what we call it, the Sixtine Chapel of Rioja. Please.
Oh, look at this. Wow, this is impressive. So these go back how far?
1892.
And I see here, look, I mean, look at the colour of this. So this is how old, this one?
1948.
Right, so it almost looks like a Sauternes, like a...
Well, at the end, it's a semi-sweet white.
Yeah.
It's not the same grape because our variety here is Viura grape. That is a different variety, but yes, at the end, it's a semi-sweet white. These wines last forever.
They do last forever.
Absolutely.
Got to find our way out of here now. Eduardo is taking me to meet owner Javier, who's going to let me try some of their more recently produced wines, starting with a red. Javier, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Good to see you. So this is the bit I've been looking forward to. There you go. The first thing you smell with Rioja is the fruitiness.
It's a lot of red fruit, amazing complexity, elegance.
Red curranty. It's kind of it's the first thing anybody that's ever had this style of wine before. It's fruity, but I don't like giving you terms and bits and pieces. I don't like all that sort of fancy stuff on television, but there's certainly leathery vanilla. It's lovely. It's really nice to drink, and it's just... I have to be honest, I'm most intrigued and excited by the semi-sweet wine Eduardo told me about, so that's up next. I mean, the colours are absolutely amazing. That is delicious. Really, really delicious. This is really, really good. This is one thing that I've been eager to try this. It's really...
It's beautiful.
It has hints of white flowers, almonds, also it has barrel aging, so
Honey,
you get the toastiness, the evolution goes
It's the honey
towards
side of it,
honey.
I think, you get from it. Rather than the sugar, you get the honey notes straight away. But this is really, really good. How much of this have you got?
There's enough. There's enough.
There's definitely a case of this coming back to the UK with me. This is very, very special.
Yeah.
Now I've got to go cook, so thank you very much. I wish you all the best with it as well. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
That is delicious. Before I go, that's coming with me. See you later.
Bye.
Enough drinking, time to get cooking. And what better backdrop for my mobile kitchen in La Rioja than these epic vineyards? This looks very random, doesn't it, really? A table set in a vineyard, but look at it. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic over here. And I've got a dish that's going to suit this, particularly this semi-sweet wine, because I'm going to make a little bean stew using some of this wine, but I'm going to serve it with quail. Now, you can use a little poussin if you want, you can use a whole chicken, it's entirely up to you. So how to prepare the little quail that we've got over here? With the quail, you just roast it in the oven for no more than about 10, 12 minutes. But on a barbecue like that, you can speed up the cooking time even more if you then take the quail and you spatchcock it. It's really, really simple. What you've got in here with the quail is you've got the two breasts over here and the legs, and you've got the back over here. What you want to do is take a pair of scissors and cut from one end to the other. Cut through, and you can open it out like that. Then we take some salt and pepper. Now, interestingly enough, they leave the liver in there, which is really nice because a bit like chicken livers. This is also amazing. And then really simply cooked, we can then take our quail and just pop it over the hot coals. You're only talking probably about 4 to 5 minutes to cook this. Now, while that's happening, we can prepare this sort of bean stew, because the bean stew is relatively quick. For that, I've got some onions, I've got some garlic, bay leaf, a little bit of parsley, some white beans, a touch of cream and olive oil. And then I'm going to take some... This is their version of a spring onion, but looks beautiful. We take that nice little bit of onion. Now, with this as well, you want plenty of garlic. So I would say probably a good 3, maybe 4 cloves of garlic. Most people have got garlic crushers at home. You remember those things that you used to buy? Using shopping channels. About 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you bought yourself a car and a spiralizer and a garlic crusher. Look. Save yourself about 20 quid, look. Done. Then, look at this. Turn this over. Beautiful. Barbecued quail. Now, if you wanted to roast them at home, you're looking at a really hot oven. To get them nice and brown, I would start them off in a pan, first of all, with butter. Then I'll put the whole pan in the oven and time it. It only wants about 10, 12 minutes. Take them out and allow them to rest. So we're just going to make sure we've got a lovely little bit of colour on it. Wait till the tractor's going past. See, I have a fascination with tractors. This entire crew knows that I have a fascination with tractors. So I'm going to stop and look at the tractor, even though the quail's burning. Right, look, we're now there. This quail's now done. We just lift it off. Beautiful. Look at that. Next, for my bean casserole, I'm going to start by sweating my onions and garlic. Now we can then concentrate on our beans that we've got in here. Now, these are just phenomenal. But look, take the beans. And this is where everything happens quite quickly now. In goes our wine. And I think this is the semi-sweet white rioja that's going to work really well with this. Sort of bring this together as a stew. So as soon as this starts to come together, we can add a touch of cream, just a little bit. And then I'm just going to impart a little bit of flavour into here with some bay leaf. And then I'm going to thicken this up with a touch of butter. See how quickly that comes together. Salt, touch of pepper. And then I'm going to finish this off with some chopped parsley. Take your beans. And then we just sit our nice little quail on here. A dish by the side of a hillside in this glorious countryside. All served with what it's all about. A nice glass of vino. Red or white, it's entirely up to you. As long as it's wet and cold, because it's hot out here. What better celebration of Rioja's most famous export? White beans stewed in sweet wine with barbecued quail. Happy days. How amazing was that place? It went on for kilometres and kilometres. You could get lost in there big time. But I'll be giving you a cooking masterclass in-game very shortly. There's still loads more to come from my brilliant guest, Sally Lindsay, a little bit later. But I'll see you here back after the break when the very talented Michael Caines will be taking over the kitchen. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be teaching you how to cook game with confidence in this week's Little Masterclass. And I'll be chatting some more to my brilliant guest, Sally Lindsay, over beef stew and dumplings a little bit later. But first, I'm here with Tony Singh, and we're about to enjoy a dish from a West Country chef whose food always looks incredible, but somehow always manages to make it taste even better. It's the brilliant Michael Caines. Wonderful to have you back.
So
you brought some beautiful little monkfish with you.
Yeah, all the way from Devon to Southwest. We've got beautiful monkfish. We're going to do that with some curry. We've got some mussels as well, and we're going to do that with some tarragon grain mustard sauce. So first of all, I'm going to get my medallions, and we have to get them marinated. So tell us about the monkfish then, because a lot of people don't often see it like this, really, because when you get it whole, there's about 60% waste in monkfish. There is. It's a huge head.
Yeah.
And so what you've got, these lovely fillets. There's a lot of, like, flabby sort of stuff around it, and that's already been taken off. So what I'm going to do is just simply take it off the bone. I'm going to go left and right. This is probably going to feed about 4 people. I'm only going to cut this into medallions, so I won't need all of it. We've
got a Scottish wine waiter over here that's diving into some of this fizz of yours. So tell me about the fizz then, because this is... Nobody has really actually... Well, people have tried it before, but this is the first time I've seen it.
Yes, this is the classic cuvée. So last time I was here, I bought the Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And this has been 3 years aging on lease, as they call it. And so this is our first, which arrived actually in October 2023. And
this is your own, because you've now got... Well, you got Limsden Manor, which we'll talk about as well, but you then took the plunge and said, that's not enough, I'm going to produce a vineyard.
Plant a vineyard, yeah. So we planted the vineyard back in 2018, and then...
How many vines do you end up
So we had 17,500 vines, and
Who planted that?
well, we had a gentleman called from Vines Direct, but we have 50% Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, Chardonnay, and 30% Chardonnay, 20% of Meunier. But as I say, this is the first release, so...
So you mentioned it on Lees. So tell everybody what that is then, because I've just got the mussels over here. We've got some tarragon stalk, some bay leaf, some thyme. Then we go with that. We go some white wine as well.
That's right, lovely.
Cook this. Tell us about what everybody Lees is.
Well, on
Lees
Lees
you can't make champagne like you can make wine, do you?
Exactly. So you leave it. Once you do the second fermentation, you leave the yeast in the bottle and then leave it to age before you degorge, and that we leave that process for a good 3 years, which gives it the complexity, which is really, really good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cook off the medallions. So I've marinated. You can marinate the medallions a little bit longer.
What have you put them in?
So I put them in Madras curry powder, which is Southern Indian. It's really soft, not too hot. I love this for fish. It's great for chicken as well.
Now, I've been to your restaurant. You do this quite a bit about this. You cook a lot with Indian spices.
I do. I really do. I mean, I love
scallops like this as well.
Yeah, we do. I just love using spice, and the great thing about this particular spice is it's quite soft. So. You haven't got. It's not like a. It's a kind of. I call it like a slightly dirty curry flavour. You've got that lovely turmeric in there, a little bit of
earthiness.
Earthiness. That's right. I love that. It's really, really nice. So, nice little beurre noisette, which is really, really lovely. You get that nutty flavour coming through. And then for the mussels, what we do is we'll pass that face stock off. So this is just a Sauvignon Blanc, nice crisp wine, and then we'll take all of that juices, and that'll be the base of my sauce, which I've got fish stock over here. I've got some cream. I've also got some saffron.
So you're still keeping this classic French, because I mean you're a massive lover of that classic French style of cooking.
Absolutely. This is quite an eclectic. So I love cooking fish in beurre noisette, so that's quite classical French.
Yeah.
But I've got the curry to give it that sort of lovely oriental spicing. Saffron, white wine sauce, classic. But saffron and curry, beautiful. That goes really, really well.
You have to kind of use it with caution, though. Do you think there's saffron? It can be quite heavy, quite strong.
Yeah, saffron. It's a bit like if overused, it could become quite sickly quite quickly. So I'm just going to use it very, very delicately. You can put your monkfish in the oven, and if you want, you can cook it on the bone as well. But this way is a lot easier.
Right, I'm going to get this pan out for your sauce.
Great. So I've got my sauce now. So what I'll do is...
This is your pan. I'm going to give you this pan.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you can reduce it.
Yeah.
You can do it a la French style, reduce it a lot. So if you're doing anything and you want the sauce reducing quicker...
Put it in a bigger pan.
Well, flatter pan, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
a wider pan as well.
I'll put that for you so you can... So the juice is going in. So now we're going to add the...
So there's the liquor.
OK, great.
You use what you want.
Oh,
I'll sort out
do
this.
that. I'll put it over here. So in goes the wine with the saffron.
Yeah.
Then we're going to add some fish stock.
So this is fish stock and the mussel stock as well?
Yeah, just to give it a little bit more body, and I'll just reduce that down a little bit. You can see I've got Dijon mustard, which is grained. So here's the sauce now. So in goes the saffron. So I'm looking for a little change of
tell me,
colour.
you're going at 100 mile an hour. Tell me about the Lympstone Manor then, because this is a very special place for you.
It is.
This is your first place. I remember sat in my house and you going, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? I went, go on, you only live once, you got to go for it.
Absolutely.
And
I remember that. It was like James, Gidley Park had been there for 19 years. So in the end, I did 21 and a half years. And I just said, I need to do something for myself. And you were like, yeah, you got to do it, Michael. But I didn't really imagine myself ever owning a country house hotel, and was massively inspired by Raymond Blanc at the Quatre Saisons. And now that I've got my own restaurant, and hotel, I just think to myself, it's sort of dream come true. So,
and you're not content with that as well. You've got this amazing place, Mickey's Beach.
Yeah, Mickey's. We went and had an amazing lunch there. I know, but it's right on Exmouth seafront.
Yeah,
and it's been obviously rubbish weather last year, but nevertheless, it's been a really kind of nice addition to the Exmouth cooking scene.
But you get the feeling with you never stop.
I know. Well, I have got another little project on the go.
Pray tell.
Well, I'm looking to do something in Bristol, but so hopefully next time I'm on the show I can do a reveal on that.
Wonderful.
But I've been secretly working on a few things, so I haven't stopped, James. Believe me,
You
I'm
never
still keep
stop
going.
as well. So anyway, there's your
great.
mussels as well.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sauce now. I'm going to put it back in here.
Right.
Some of the mussels I'm going to put.
We just have a clean down for you.
Yeah, put back in now. And we'll keep some mussels for garnish. So I'm just going to reheat these.
Yeah. So
Back
this
to the
the
sauce.
monkfish, you just happily tick it away nicely.
Yeah,
and it's fine like that.
I'll
yeah?
turn the monkfish off now and put some
that's
lemon
all.
juice in. And then we're just going to
that style of cooking is just so simple.
I mean, it's delicious. You've got. We'll leave the fat behind, but I'm just going to leave that to finish cooking in there.
So what do you want to do with this?
If you
this
chop
time?
that nice and fine, we'll put that into the sauce. This is very generous. I mean, obviously, this is a 4-plate recipe, so you got all these mussels. You're thinking, crikey, that's quite a lot. But I'm a very generous person, obviously. And charge you for the privilege as well. But there you go. So tarragon.
Well, I want to
saffron,
taste this as well. So while
it's
it's
a really good mix. And you can smell that nuttiness, that sort of earthiness. What do you think, James?
I'll tell you what, that's good stuff, isn't it?
It's all right. It's not bad.
I didn't think you'd make a rubbish one. I knew that.
Thank you.
That's fantastic, isn't it? That?
Yeah, it's lovely, yeah.
So I've got 3 medallions each, and
Yeah.
then I've got I always do a spare one just in case. But let's when we move that out of the way.
Yeah. And then, do you want to plate up? Do you want me to do the sauce?
Yeah. Well, look, here we go. You can put some of those beautiful mussels around the
All right,
outside.
okay. Yeah.
Just for garnish, and this is almost like some people mistake it as a soup, but it's not. It's a beautiful sort of. There's some people say it's like a curry, but I say no, it's not. It's just a delicious bowl of seafood, and I just love the fact that.
And you're in the prime location for that kind of stuff because the mussels where you are just spectacular.
Well, we're right overlooking the estuary of the River Exe,
Yeah.
and you can see the Bay of Lyme right in front of us, and there we are. Just using great produce from Brixham Market, which is literally over the way, and serving up some delightful seafood. And I just think what makes the monkfish interesting. It's quite a meaty fish anyway. Is this lovely southern curry, which is the lovely Madras curry powder, and the saffron just goes together.
Can I just say, there are people that cook on the show, and there's people that cook on the show. You just made that look very, very easy. And you just, like that, just nailed it. But
Thank you.
There you have it. Michael Caines, everybody. That is special.
Yes, please.
Cheers,
Yes,
guys.
please.
Cheers,
Tinky.
where that came
Cheers,
from.
cheers.
Lovely, that, isn't it? There we have it, Chief. It's not a bad effort, is it, really? Go on, then. Me and you dive into this one. And the monkfish, like you said, so simply cooked like that.
Yeah, pan roasted. I mean, if you don't want the butter, you can roast it in just olive oil.
The monkfish is fantastic, though. So simple like that.
I mean, it's a lovely meaty fish, isn't it? So you can take that curry spice and that.
And once you master that sauce, I mean, you like using a little bit of ginger in there. You put a little bit of ginger with it, stuff like this.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's very versatile, and you can if you want to put a little bit of lemongrass and ginger in at the base. That you can do that, and I'll do that when you add it to shallot. Maybe some microplane of ginger, a little bit of garlic, and also lemongrass. It's also
The saffron's perfect, just perfumed enough. Awesome.
The chap knows what he's doing. There we have it. Michael Caines, everybody. Fantastic. Good luck with that as well. This tastes amazing. There you go. Right, Tony will be putting his Indian spin on a Scottish dish, a classic Scottish dish for us a little bit later. And I'll be treating Sally Lindsay to traditional beef stew and dumplings at the end of the show. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes when I'll be teaching you all you want to know about game. There's not long left in the season, but that's this week's little masterclass. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Now I'll be cooking with my guest, Sally Lindsay, later on this morning. And Mr. Tony Singh will be serving up his haggis pakoras. I'm looking forward to tasting those. That's coming up next. But first, it's time for this week's masterclass. And this week, I thought I'd take a look at something that a lot of people are a little bit afraid to cook with at home, and that's game. Now, the season for the game in front of me all runs out at the end of the month. So now it's the best time, to be honest to you, to get it and freeze it. Now, there is one that's out of season, which is frozen at the moment, which is the grouse. And it all starts with the grouse, really. If you start back in August, the glorious 12th, August the 12th, that's when the game season starts. And it starts with the grouse that we've got in front of over here. You can see the difference in colour of meat as opposed to the pheasant, the partridge and the quail that we've got on here. But it's much darker and richer, stronger in flavour as well. So that's your grouse. That runs out on the 10th of December. Then we've got over here, we've got some beautiful little bit of partridge, one of my favourite game birds over there. This is the next one starting the season. This is September the 1st. All runs out at the end of this month. So the 1st of February, that's when it's finished. Having said that, complicated matter, Spain, they still produce it. So you can get it fresh. You sometimes see it fresh. That'll be the Spanish partridge that we've got over here. And then we've got classically pheasant, of course. That starts on October the 1st and runs out again the end of the month. So I'm going to start off with this little quail because it's really simple to prepare and cook. And it's one of these little ones that is so simple. It's absolutely delicious. The best way to cook this, I find, is to spatchcock it. So just take a pair of scissors, straight through, like that, right through there. And then we just open it up. Now, I'm going to cook this on a barbecue, really. So to spatchcock them, really straightforward, really simple. Take that and then run it down the backbone, which we've got over here. Flip that over and then just turn them over. Press it like that. Bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. That's it. Bit of pepper, just a little bit of oil. Now, I'm going to finish off with a touch of honey at the end, but this will take so many lovely flavours as well. It's absolutely delicious, this. So you just take the quail, we're just going to pop it on the barbecue. Now, game birds like this, you take in, particularly with quail, you're talking no more than probably 3-4 minutes on a barbecue, something like that. Really nice. Another thing that's great on the barbecue, but particularly with different spices, is this. This is partridge, one of my favourite game birds as well. This is beautiful. The way you cook it, again, you can roast it like that if you want. It's probably going to take about no more than 12-15 minutes to roast off in the oven. Fire it off in a pan if you want to roast it whole. The great thing about that is you can eat the legs and you can eat the breast, but the key to all game, it's very lean. So what you don't want to be doing is overcooking it. So if you want to cook it for longer, then it's a good idea, particularly like the pheasants, to either pot roast it or do it like a stew. Things like coq au vin, stuff like that is brilliant with game birds, like pheasant, that kind of stuff, if you want to cook it for a long period of time. So we just got a nice little bit of partridge there. Again, just to show you, so you've got the breast meat there. What you do is you just take a pair of scissors, cut it underneath and flip this over. Now, like I said, sometimes you'll get this from Spain, which is out of season in the UK, but this is a fantastic piece of meat that you'll actually get frozen as well, and you can have this in the summer months when it's a little bit warmer than it is out here. But this on the barbecue or simply just roasted is delicious. But look, you've got a nice little bit. Look at this. I mean, this is just so simple to cook. Really delicious as well. And then with this one, we're going to sort of spice it, Indian sort of flavours, really. Nice and simple with that. So I'll have a quick wipe down. Now, you can take this recipe and you can do it with any of the game birds as well. The pheasant as well works really well with this. But what you want to do is you want to take a different selection of different spices that we've got in here, mixed together with some yoghurt. So I've got some full-fat yoghurt over here. The spice is entirely up to you, but things like a little bit of garam masala, some cumin, bit of marjoram maybe, that kind of stuff. It's entirely up to you whether you do Indian sort of flavours, you go Spanish. If you're not, you can put some smoked paprika and a bit of honey and some lime, that kind of stuff in here as well. Creme fraiche or yoghurt, it's entirely up to you. Mix that together. Just a touch of lime in here as well. There we go. Mix all that and it creates a lovely little paste. And all you do with this paste is just take it over the top and just put plenty of it over the top. Now, if you've got thyme, stick this, not the herb, but thyme on your hands, pop that in the fridge and leave that to marinate overnight. You want to sit it in the marinade like that. And then all you do is just set your oven 200 degrees. This is going to take about 15, 20 minutes in the oven. No more than that. A little bit of olive oil over the top. Touch of salt and pepper and simply roast this. Really simply. And you serve this with a little bit of lime, bits and pieces at the end. But that's just going to sit in there. Now, I've got one that's been roasted, so I'll quickly wash my hands because we're nearly there. This quail is not far off now. You'd be amazed how quick it takes to cook. Like that. You're only looking at probably no more than 4 minutes, something like that. With a lovely bit of quail. It's a little bit longer on that one. And then we'll serve... Why don't we serve it on there? So, a quail on that one, and that one on that one. And this is your beautiful little bit of partridge. I absolutely love partridge like this. It's really, really simple. Simple to cook, tastes amazing. But you've got your glorious bit of partridge like that. Again, try not to overcook it. That's the key to that one. Touch of lime on here. Or maybe a little bit of watercress. Sits on the side. And there we have it. Really, really simple little dish for dish one. Nice little bit of roasted partridge. Now the quail, just going to simply cook this. What I'm going to do is just make a little dressing at the end. And the dressing comes in the form of some honey and some olive oil. So you just want a tablespoon. There we go. Nice little bit of olive oil. I try not to put this on too early because otherwise it's just going to burn. So you almost do this at the last minute and just let it sit there. So you've got your nice little bit of honey like that. And then lift off the quail. Look at that. On here. And then take the honey over that. And you just let it just sit there and melt into it. It is absolutely delicious, this. Really simple. I think that's the essence with game. People try to be too fancy with it. Because you go to restaurants and you'll see chefs, in my opinion, doing too much with game. Been too fancy with it. So often with this, I love the purity of it, the simplicity of it. I think that's where it wants to be. A little bit of honey over the top. Again, if you want it with a little bit of lime, something like that. And there we have it. There's my little quail. Really, really easy. Now, one of my favourite things to cook as well is pheasant like this. So think of it like a schnitzel. Schnitzel you do with veal or a little bit of chicken. For this, I've got some pheasant breasts over here. Now, you can buy these in the supermarket, these pheasant breasts. And like I was saying, right at this moment in time, these are really when to buy it. They're really inexpensive. And we're talking, I saw in the butchers the other day, a pheasant. It was £1, a pound a bird for that. So you're looking at 50 pence, probably less as well for these pheasant breasts. So what you want to do is just bat these out. Now, these are brilliant just on the barbecues themselves, like that. And if you've got a local butcher's near you, tell them you're after a pheasant that's not been hung for too long. When they hang it, it sort of tenderises it as well. But the longer you hang it, the stronger the game tastes. So bat this all out like this, so it's nice and flat. Now, this is going to do two things. It's going to tenderise it as well. It's going to mean that we can get some filling in here, nice and simple. You don't need to be too fancy with this. There we go. Nice and thin. And then I'm going to use a combination of flour, egg and breadcrumbs. So a little bit of beaten egg. I've got some panko crumbs over here. And then I'm going to take some seasoned flour, just some plain flour, and create these little schnitzels, which I'm going to simply cook. And do that with a nice little fried egg. Really easy. So the schnitzels, you can use whatever cheese you want. I've got some cheddar. You can use a bit of Emmental. You can use some air-dried ham as well if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you again what you want to use. But you can take this piece of cheese, again, some air-dried ham if you want, like that. Pop that over there. You can do whole ones. You can do half ones. It's entirely up to you, but what I mean by that, you can take your nice little bit over here, take these little bits in there. And the great thing about this, you can be quite rustic with this. Don't be too fancy. Black pepper, a little bit of salt over the top. You can take that part and sit that on there. Or you can simply just take this and fold it over on there. And then all we do is you take your flour, your egg and your breadcrumbs. And this is what I'm saying. With too much recipes with game, people try to be too fancy. Just simplify everything. what do we call it? Rustic in chef's world. But look, flour, egg, breadcrumbs. Press it down. So take this. This is 2 together. So flour, egg. Now, I always pan fry this. You could deep fry it if you wanted to. Pan fry and it's really nice. Then we go with a crumb. Pat it all in. Like I said, you can use air-dried ham, you can use normal ham, it's entirely up to you. Wash our hands. And then to cook it, use a combination of butter and a little bit of oil. So take a nice chunk of this butter in there. A good glug of oil. With anything like this, what you want to do is you want to sort of pop it in when the butter is melting. Otherwise, the crumb is just going to colour and the bit inside is not going to be cooked. So we're just going to flip this over, and you can see, if I just check it first of all, crumb looks good to me, turn that over, cook it the other side. Cheese starts to melt, crumb gets lovely and brown, like that, and at the same time we can then just serve this with a fried egg, just a normal hen's egg. It's going to go in there. Really simple little dish, this. And again, the essence of this is speed at which you cook it. If you're going to cook a whole pheasant like this, the best way to do that really is pot roasting it, because it's going to cook the legs as well. A lot of chefs will take the legs off and roast the crown with the legs sat in the liquor. And the liquor, something like pot roasting coq au vin sort of style with wine and lardons and mushrooms, that kind of stuff, really cooks the legs and it keeps the breast away from the liquid. So then you can take that out, you can carve it, and then the legs sit in the liquid so it cooks nicely as well. It's such a simple dish to do. You can grab your nice little bit of pheasant. You can see the cheese melting away nicely as well, which is lovely. Got a little fried egg. And then I'm just going to do this with a touch of watercress. Just with it as well. And you've got a meal that, once you've got them, whether you have them frozen or stuff like that, it can cook really, really quickly. Whether you wrap it in with the cheese, you pop it on the barbecue. But don't forget, when you buy these frozen, you can still use them in the summer. They're absolutely delicious. But there you have it, with a little fried egg on top. A little cut there. And there you have sort of my version of a little pheasant schnitzel, one that tastes amazing. But just to recap, we've got our nice little bit of quail with honey and olive oil, really simple salt and pepper on the barbecue, and then we've got our Indian-inspired partridge like that. You can serve that with rice, chips, a little bit of salad. It's entirely up to you, but there we have it. Whatever game you choose, try it, because there's not long left in the season, just the end of the month. There we have it. And if you'd like to learn about a little Mascas, then do get in touch with me, see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes, where Mr. Tony Singh, he loves game as well, will be treating us to his take with a Burns Night Supper. I'll see you in a bit. It's good, isn't it? I'll be serving up a show-stopping beef stew and dumplings for Sally Lindsay. That's coming up next. But first, I'm here with Michael Keynes, and we're getting ready to enjoy an early Burns Night celebration with the proud Scotsman who is as well known for his kilts as he is for his cooking. It's obviously colder today. He's not wearing one as well. It's Tony Singh. Good to see you, pal.
Thanks for having
me. Now, tell me about this then, because this has become quite famous. Your pakoras. Tell me about these then.
Well, it's a haggis pakora. So Burns Night, we're having our national dish, haggis, neeps and tatties, but we're doing it in a Punjabi way. We're making pakora.
Right.
Down here you call them bhajis. Same thing. It's a fritter, chickpea. We've got coriander, red onion, garam masala, chilli, some salt, and then the haggis, neeps and tatties will go in there. Right. And then we're going to deep fry them. So it's a different way of having something that's fantastic, tasty, and stood the test of time. You know what I mean? How many foods do you know that have a poem named after them?
Well, exactly.
Not many.
Exactly. So tell me about the haggis then, because we're talking about Burns Night. If you did want to do this and you wanted to do this whole, or you want to do this dish, first of all, you're faced with these raw. How would you cook it?
Well, if you're going to do a traditional Burns supper, try to get the haggis that's in its natural casing in its stomach. Right, and I would wrap in a bit of cling film, then a bit of tin foil into a simmering pan, and depending on the size, anything from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how big the chieftain is.
Right.
Because you can get some massive ones.
The chieftain.
Chieftain, yeah, it's called a haggis like that's called a chieftain.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
All right.
So, or you can, if it's just one of these or two of these, you can get fantastic haggai, and synthetic skins or plastic skins, and then you follow the instructions. But you're just going to have it as a supper. I would say take them out, pop them in a bowl, cling film, microwave, on low, because it's very high fat content.
Because if you're thinking about black pudding, the equivalent to pork, it's kind of like that with the addition of other things. A little more awful.
Well, it's all the pluck. So you've got the lung, the esophagus, you've got all the bits and pieces that go in there. Oats, spices, onion, fat. It is a cracking.
And it's a little bit like black pudding is when the oats, you want it to get a nice one, you got texture in there rather than it all being blended.
Yes,
a bit
totally.
like black pudding.
You want texture in there. You want to know, again, we were talking about the meat earlier, you want something for your teeth to do. Sorry, thank you. Red onion's going in there, lovely.
Yeah. So that you've just basically taken that out of the skins.
Taken out the skin.
That's gone in there. So tell me about these you've got, is that diced potato? What
yes, so tatties or potato.
Yeah.
I'll have to translate for you.
Yes. So I've got the potatoes over here.
Yeah, you've got the potatoes in there.
But the neeps bit.
The neeps, right. So I never knew they were called Swede until I was working in London as a young lad. And it was a Burns night, and I had to ask somebody to go and get me some neeps. And they came back. Sorry, I said turnip. And they came back with that. And I'm going, that's not turnip. That's a navvy, you know what I mean? That's Swede. I thought I was Swede. But down south, you call Swedes.
Yeah.
Neeps.
Swede.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but it's a Swedish turnip. So that's what it's saying. The name comes in. But neeps, shortened version of turnip. Neeps, you know what I mean? It's just, it is there. They're both lovely, but the neep is a sweeter product.
And for those people who are, Burns night as well, would it be mash? Would it be diced? Would it be as long as it's both together?
So it's there. So it's getting heated up whole. It comes. They do the dress to the haggis, and then it's cut open, so it's soft. It's unctuous, and then you put it in.
What have you put in there? We're just about to miss this. So you got.
Sorry, we've got the onions.
Yes.
We've got the haggis. We've got the neeps. We've got the tatties, coriander, red onion, and we have chili powder, garam masala. We're going to put in some fine salt.
Okay.
And we're going to give us a mix. So when that's all coated.
This is where you make it look so easy, and you go back home and try it. Go, no, it's not the same.
No.
Yeah.
And I think
there's a dice that it's quite a chunky dice. That's important.
Chunky dice.
Yeah.
And the thing with pakora or bhajis, again, people in restaurants, it's changed from being very delicate, less batter, more filling to more batter, less filling, because people want to make money, right?
So there's more batter that's the bit that makes the money, less filling.
Yes, but again, it should be like a very fine tempura. It should be just loads of
ingredients. You put hardly. I thought there'd be a lot more gram flour going in there, but you put.
Yeah, because obviously you've got to check. You take your time because the potatoes have got a bit of moisture, the neeps have got a bit of moisture, and haggis. And then we're just going to put some water in.
Proper corn flour, that as well, isn't it? It does lemon colour.
The gram flour, yeah. So you still, in Scotland, you're still doing the supper clubs, bits and pieces? Because restaurant trained was, you worked in some amazing places also.
You worked in the Royal Scotsman, the Balmoral, worked.
Do you miss that kind of stuff, or is the supper clubs through you?
The supper clubs are fantastic because it's went to that thing. Hospitality's went through a lot of changes since COVID.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing is to supply hospitality.
Yeah.
When you've got a restaurant and you've got two sit-ins, the whole dynamic's changed because you've got two sit-ins.
Yeah.
There's a time limit put on instead of just enjoying your time there. So, dampen your hands a little. Gently squeeze them together.
Wow. That's very simple, wow.
And that's it.
I love that. So do you want me to do the rest while you're going to tell us about these sauces while you're doing that as well? Because
so
I'm intrigued about these sauces. Not only do you've got your little pop-up things you're doing at the moment as well.
Pop-ups. The mainstay of business is a supper club at my house, but we've been working on these sauces because we use the sauces. There's two things that stay the same at the supper club, which is the Punjabi salmon, Grand's recipe. It's my signature dish. Haggis pakora and another canopy. And these sauces, everybody's loved them. So we go.
Right, so you're deep frying a few more of these. So
Yep.
basically, just to recap, we diced all these lot up.
Yeah.
If you want to do this and you want to serve this hot,
Yes.
how long does this take to cook and stuff like that? If you
Well, waiting on the size. So I would say that size of haggis, I'd probably give it probably an hour and 45 minutes.
Right.
Gently simmering away.
But the key to it is don't.
Make sure it's not pierced. There's no any holes or that in it. It's
That's
not
what's going to cause the problem. Yeah.
Yes, because
It'll
like
burst.
anything you put in, the skin's going to contract and it'll push it out and it'll get wet.
Other things that will cause it to burst is if you boil it.
If the water's boiling too fiercely,
Yeah.
you can steam it. But wrap it in cling film just to doubly safe, and then I put a bit of tin foil on top of it as well.
Because it is one of these things that, for a chef, you just think,
Yeah.
what do I do with it? What am I gonna
Exactly.
do?
Yeah, I mean, you know, on Vessi, remember you kick poulet Vessi. It's quite a robust encasement anyway. But yeah, heating that up is low and slow, isn't it? It's just giving that nice little
That's the key to it,
transition.
yeah.
of
That's
heat.
it. You want it to be just soft.
Go on, I'll continue to do these. Go on, you can serve a few of these up. So you're just using the water, stop it sticking to you.
Stop it sticking to your hand. And that's one of the things when you're making the mixture and your company check it, because you've got a tendency you can add more flour.
Yeah.
So wash your hands first and then check the consistency.
I'm amazed the amount of how little gram flour has gone in there. That's the key to it.
And that's the thing. If you put too much gram flour in there, obviously it's going to be taste floury, it takes longer to cook out, it's stodgy, you don't get the pop of the flavours of what you're doing.
So do you miss going back into the restaurants? Is that something you want to do, or you've thought that's a chapter in your life? I've done that now.
No, I think restaurants, again, we do them, but we need investors with very deep pockets, because
Yes.
it's... And if you're lucky enough to have a restaurant now, or not, so it depends on how established you are.
Or not so lucky.
Or
you
not
say,
so
yes.
lucky, because if you've got a mortgage over your head and everything, and staff costs and food costs, it's very challenging. If you've had something you've had for a while and you've not got that mortgage worry or anything, it's a bit easier, but not easy.
No, it's because costs have gone up so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But I think, again, there's lots of things that chefs can do, and hotels are looking at it, taking people in. But again, the dynamic of a hotel is they want everything. It has to work for both these.
Yeah, has to
And
work for me.
It's
Yeah.
a hard one.
So here we go, Tony. We're now out of there. We've got plenty of these.
Fantastic.
They look pretty good, then, don't they?
Excellent.
It's amazing how simple they are as well. I
Yeah.
mean, the great thing about gluten-free as well.
Gluten-free,
Yeah.
which is brilliant. And this is it. It's like all these things that you come across that have stood the test of time. They're simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and then obviously you get technical dishes and everything like that, but these things that are showstoppers, crowd pleasers, because you can rustle them up when somebody comes round.
No water bath there, mate.
No, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
And then you can dip in them, you can pop it on top.
Put a few more on.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're hungry. Come on.
The crew's waiting.
There's a lot of crew in here.
Yeah.
There we go.
Just pop it on
So that's the tamarind one as well.
tamarind one's gone on top.
Yeah.
You've got the mint, coriander and mint. You can mix this with yogurt or creme fraiche. You've got a lovely creamy sauce as well. And then you've got mango and chilli. And then coriander on top.
Wow.
Not bad at this, are you, Chief?
Anyway, that's it. Haggis, neeps and tatties.
By Tony Singh, everybody. Legend. That's brilliant. That. Do you want to nick one before I take it over there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you made them. There we have it. Bon appetit.
Wow.
Well, you come round here, we ought to have a taste of these. So,
Do what?
yeah. Dip them in the sauce as well.
Well, that's really good, actually. That's really nice.
Suits it so well, doesn't it?
And like I said, you can rustle that up. I've got leftover veggies and everything.
This would be also great with cooked leftover game, leftover chicken, anything. And
We used to do it with some pheasant breasts.
yeah.
Yeah, smoke some. It's really nice. Smoke.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Pop in there just to get a bit extra.
Nice, though, isn't it?
Lovely texture,
Super
beautiful.
tasty. Delicious, that. There you go. The people at your supper club are very lucky. There you go. Tony Singh, everybody.
Hey.
Right, we've got time for one more recipe this morning, so join us again in a couple of minutes when I'll be serving up a delicious beef stew and dumplings for my guest, Sally Lindsay. I'll see you after the break. That is spectacular.
Thank you.
Delicious. Welcome back to the final part of the show. I'm back in the kitchen with Tony, of course, Michael, and my guest, Sally Lindsay. And very different to the first dish I cooked for you, that lovely little sea bass with those noodles. This one's slightly different. This is beef stew and dumplings. This is wholesome, hearty, proper grub. So we've got some shin of beef over here. We're going to basically do this in two parts. So I'm going to get a pan nice and hot. If you can take some veg oil, which is the taller one of those, a good glug of veg oil in here. So this is shin of beef. And what we want to do, first of all, is get this coloured. And the colour inside of it is quite important, because this is the bit that's going to colour the stew. But you get a nice little bit of colour on it using a touch of flour. The flour does two things. It helps colour the meat, but it also thickens the stew. But you don't want too much. So you add it now, never at the sort of the end. There is a way you can add it, which is called beurre manier. Beurre manier. That's going old school, aren't we? Which is nearly forgot that then. Which is just flour and butter mixed together. If you add that to a stew at the final bit, it will actually thicken it. But if you do it this way, this is the way. So you want to take the shin of beef, and I actually like buying beef that is in pieces rather than try and get it like that. So rather than the small dice that you get from the supermarket, it's too small. So you want to get beef chunky. That's how you want chunky beef. And we're going to. You pop this in the pan, and then the key to this is leave it. Try not to be too tempted.
You touch it.
Yeah, to start messing around with
you.
But you know what I mean?
No, I'm there, I'm ready.
But you want to leave it, because that's going to make it colour, doesn't it?
Get that lovely crust on it.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you start messing around with it, it doesn't colour nicely. So we're just going to leave that. And do it in two batches. If you put it all in the pan, it'll reduce the heat of the pan down, and it'll end up stewing and not sealing. That's it there. So where do we start with? Can we go back to your career as well? Scott and Bailey, we've got to mention that as well.
Yeah.
That was a magical moment for you as well.
Well, that was... it was a funny time, because we'd found out that Scott and Bailey was commissioned, and then we found out that another drama I did for 7 years, comedy drama, which I loved, called Mount Pleasant, where Bobby Ball was my dad, and, you know, it was amazing. And I was pregnant, all got commissioned and pregnant in the same week. So it was an amazing time, really. Yeah, but Saran and I came up with the idea of Scott and Bailey, and but we'd been trying to flog it for years, and then all of a sudden it just exploded.
But you managed to do that your entire career, really. We talked about the comedy and, you know, doing stuff like Phoenix Nights and the Royal Family. What was the defining moment for you? Wasn't there one day where you had an agent and said, was there one night or one day that changed your career, changed your life?
Absolutely. So what had happened with the Royal Family? I had a great agent at the time called Melody. She's sadly not with us anymore, but she put me in this sort of show in Manchester, and all the Mancunian casting directors came. And little did I know they were looking for an unknown for this character in the Royal Family, this Michelle, who was Twiggy's wife, a girlfriend, not wife, the great Jeff Hughes. And so what happened, I did a comedy piece, and the next day I had a phone call, and I was in the Royal Family, and it was... I'd only done theatre before. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Theatre was brilliant, really good theatre, but I'd never even thought about television.
Yeah.
So it was... But because it was such an amazing show, the Royal Family, it pretty much... I mean, Coronation Street taught me everything, especially Betty Driver, the great Betty Driver. She taught me everything. But what was great about the Royal Family, it was a 10-day shoot, old school time, and you got to learn how to be on a set, you know, and how to be funny, because there were such great people on that shoot. Yeah. I started really high, you know, and I thought every job was going to be like that. It wasn't, but it was a great start, you know.
But when you do a lot of things like that, but you mentioned Coronation Street, a lot of that, you get to a point where you leave, they kill you off. Is your character's open? It's still open to come back, is it?
She's still alive. I think she is, Shelley.
Wasn't killed off, though, was it?
I mean, I left in 2006. So it's funny, really, when people... Because it seems like so long ago for me, but, you know, some people still remember you for that, you know, because it was such a massive show at the time. And I was saying to Tony before, you know, back in the day, we used to get like 14 million viewers on a normal night.
Well, it's one of those moments. I remember when I started at the television, I did Big Breakfast, and then you do bits and pieces, and I remember doing Ready, Steady, Cook, and I remember on a Friday night, went out to like 14, 15 million people, 16 odd million people. And the following day, you walk around thinking, And everybody's looking at you.
Staring.
Was that must have been the moment for you, because you're doing theatre sort of stuff.
It was overnight, and it was sort of like when I joined, it was overnight, and it was really weird because people were staring at me. And the first 3 months when I was in the show, it was always like, do you work in my shop?
Yeah.
Or are you... they didn't quite know what...
Quite know how they
yeah, and then it was just mad. It was just mad from them. Those days have gone now. That will never happen again because we have so much choice on television, which is right, really. But then there was, you know, finite things to watch, and that's what you watched.
So
you know.
tell everybody, I don't know where, if anybody hasn't been anywhere for the last, 3-4 years since you've been doing this you're in the series 3 of this murder mystery thing. So
yes.
Give us the title first of all. This is
but it's called The Madame Blanc Mysteries.
Yeah.
It's on Channel 5 on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's centred around this beautiful town in the south of France called Saint-Victoire. It's got crazy characters. It's got a square, and I play this sort of Sherlockian antiques dealer, a little sort of a Miss Marple, but not quite as old.
Okay.
Yet.
And I was mentioning the fact that you got it commissioned before he was. Did you write something? Did you write the idea, or did you speak to somebody and then it just got done?
I wrote the idea because I just had this buzzing around in my head, and I just gave it to our co-producers, Clapperboard, and I said, "What do you think of this?" And he said, "Oh, I've got a meeting with Channel 5 tonight. I'll take it along because I'd just done something called Cold Call, which was really successful, and Channel 5 were interested in what I wanted to do next." And anyway, I gave him this and I said, "Look, it's nothing. It's not gritty drama, but it's everything I like to watch. I mean, I love to watch sort of Murder, She Wrote, Lovejoy, Maigret, Poirot. I love all that. I love Agatha Christie. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love all those things." So I just wrote my version, really, and it's sort of done quite well.
But how difficult is that with the idea? So we take our beef stew, so bring this to the boil, cook this gently for about sort of 2 or 3 hours. We end up with this, and I would season it before it goes cold because, you know, food when it goes cold tastes differently to when it's hot. So season it when it's hot, allow it to go cold. This is what this is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cook this. So if I can give you a little bit of this, we're going to do some mashed potato. So. Yeah. Touch of cream, a little bit of butter in there as well. So do you get... How do you get the storylines for this? Because you're in Series 3 in bits and pieces. How does it come about? Because I know your husband is involved in it. He writes the music.
Yeah, him and his friend Chris Haig. Yeah, they do all the music, and it's all original score. And I feel
he's quite a handy drummer, isn't he?
He's quite a handy drummer. He's one of them sort of special type drummers that can do it really well.
Yeah.
And but he's also, you know, him and Chris do a great score on it, and I think it adds to the originality of it because we do it to the pictures. But the way I get the ideas from is. Sometimes I'll see a news report or I'll see an antique on television and I'll build the whole... Like your book, honestly, it's that easy. You know...
Stick around long enough, you'll be in it, I tell you. Or you might be killed off in it. But...
something just sparks something in me. Like I'm looking at those terrines now and I'm thinking, that's interesting. You know, so just something will spark something off in me and I'll just go, right, and then I'll go into research. And Sue is brilliant, my co-writer, Sue Vincent. She used to be like the type, you know, she could find like your tights in the war. Right. She's that good at research. So, you know, sometimes we come up with crazy storylines and they go, well, that can't possibly be true. And we go, yes, it is. And she comes up with this, like, ream of evidence.
Because our antiques are love of yours. Is that what that's...
Oh, I love them. Yeah, and I love I mean, Jean, the character Jean White, is a fantasy. I mean, she's got this observational sort of Sherlockian observation and she never misses a trick. I am absolutely rubbish. Honestly, I wouldn't know any of you in a lineup. I'm terrible. Whereas Jean, so this like fantasy of this observation, she remembers things and she's got this brilliant brain. But yeah, antiques was a thing. When I was at university, I went on this course by accident called the English Country House, and it was really by accident because I had to take this one extra one, and I just fell in love with history and houses and antiques and, you know, the Baroque movement, the Renaissance movement. And, yes, I'm not very good at it, but I'm a very, very enthusiastic fan.
Perfect job. There you go. So, look, we've got... These are our little dumplings. The key to making dumplings is don't make the mixture too dry. Right. If you make the mixture too dry, it's really dry when it comes out of the oven, and then you end up with no liquor left in. It soaks it all in like a sponge, and you just leave it like that. So the texture of them is quite important. I leave the lid off for this one, and then I put it on once they're coloured. So you want to put this back in the oven, drop the oven down. This one's about 160, something like that. These want to go in there for about 45 minutes to cook, just nicely. And I'll lift this one out. And then about sort of 20 minutes into it, you can put the lid on to stop them from going too brown on the top. That goes in there. And then what we can do is then lift this off.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh, I'm having
The
that.
money shot.
So that's your beef
That
stew and
is
your dumplings. You've got your mashed potato.
Yes.
We'll have a little dollop in each one of these. A little boil
Look
in
at
each
this.
one. Nice chefy dollop on each one.
This is proper winter food, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and then
Oh.
the carrots, leave the carrots chunky like everything else as well. But
that.
you've got this amazing, this shin of beef. And you see, if you keep the beef big and sort of chunks, you know when you come to serve it, you've got 2 or 3 pieces with this. But the dumplings like that, nice and simple. The carrots stay whole, so all I've done with the carrots is just cut them straight in half. Don't need to do anything else with that. But you see how much liquor you've got in there as well. But beef stew and dumplings is...
That is fantastic.
Timeless.
Proper good, isn't it?
Timeless, that's the word.
And whether you do this with,
timeless.
you know, lamb is another great one to do it with. But when you get the lamb shoulder and get them to dice it up into sort of chunks as well. But there we have it.
That is
Just
crazy.
do a little carrot on the side of that one.
We're just moving our glass.
In preparation.
Get in,
Look
kid.
at that.
Let's not mess about.
So there we have it. My classic beef stew and dumplings with a nice
Wow.
little bit of mashed potato.
Fabulous. Done.
Look
Easy
at
as that. Bon appetit.
Thank you so
There we have
much.
it.
This looks amazing.
There we have it. Thank you, Chief, for your help. Thank you very much. Exactly. But
It smells wonderful. Look at it. Just falling to bits.
That is tasty.
I always remember as a kid that the dumplings used to fight for the crispy bits on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crispy bits. That's where you cook it with the lid off and then you put the lid back on again as well. It doesn't really work if you do it the other way.
That's absolutely amazing.
Happy with that?
The right weather for it as well.
Good example of what you can do with the rest of the carcass.
Well, we mentioned it earlier, didn't we, with the questions, but you know, shin of beef is fantastic. But,
It is, delicious.
you know, I mean, that's a great dish. Really simple. The key to that, really, is the cooking. You just give it time to cook and it's perfect. That's it, sadly. That's all we've got time for today. I told you it was going to be a good one. A massive thank you to all my guests. Ben Lee, the brilliant Tony Singh. Cheers, pal. Michael Keynes, and of course, Sally Lindsay. We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by chefs. Claude Bosi will be here, and Johnny Lake, and the model presenter and now writer, Lisa Snowden, will be here. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Fast delivery. Thrilling entertainment. Join Prime for $8.99 a month.